Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Travel Writing by Carol Thompson, Chapter 3, Travel Writing Through the Ages and Overview. In 1130 BC, Egyptian priest Venemon made a disastrous voyage from Thebes to Lebanon, but he wrote a report on his misadventures, which is considered the earliest detailed account of a voyage in existence. Travel writing has a long history, with tales passed on by word of mouth and oral traditions. Homer's Odyssey, one of the earliest written accounts of travel, influenced subsequent literature and the evolution of Western travel writing. Ancient people traveled for various reasons, including war, trade, religious visits, and maintaining empires. Some traveled for recreational purposes, such as sightseeing at sites like the Phoenix and the Great Pyramid. Travel related texts such as Periploi and Navigations provided navigational directions for sea captains. More elaborate forms of travel writing were found in the classical era, with works like Herodotus, Strabo, and Pausanias offering detailed accounts of Greek antiquities and rituals. However, these works rarely provided a first person narrative of the original travel experience. The pilgrimage of Egria, one of the earliest Christian pilgrimages, emphasizes the spiritual significance of the landscapes and devotional practices. Classical literature also featured fictive treatments of travel, such as the Odyssey and the Lucian's True History. The medieval era produced numerous travel related texts, including geographies, natural histories, bestiaries, and books of wonder. Asia and Africa were particularly fascinating to European readers, leading to a rich speculative literature. However, few of these accounts are first person narratives, often combining observations of classical authorities with recent reports. These texts often blend factual and fantastical descriptions with monstrous or miraculous beings projected from European fears and fantasies. The peregrinatio or pilgrimage narrative was the most common form of travel in this era. The Crusades took many Christian Europeans to the Near and Middle East, while missionaries and embassies were sent to places like China, India, and Africa. The Travels of Sir John Mandeville, written in 1356, was the most influential travel narrative of the late Middle Ages. Other travel writing genres existed in other cultures such as Chinese literature and the Islamic world and the Moroccan Qadi. Christopher Columbus's 4 voyages between 1492 and 1504 marked a significant shift in European travel and travel writing. His discoveries challenged the medieval worldwide and the trust in classical texts, leading to a new emphasis on empirical inquiry and inductive methods. This led to philosophers like Sir Francis Bacon promoting an intellectual agenda and laying the foundations of modern science. European discovery led to the first successful circumnavigation of the globe by Ferdinand Magellan in 1519. English voyages led by figures like Walter Raleigh and Henry Hudson stimulated a wave of travel-related writings and documents, leading to the genres of voyages and travels. The genre was increasingly centered on the report of someone who had made the journey themselves. Travelers in the early modern era sought information about the New World, Old World, Europe, and the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. The Reformation created a rift between Protestants and Catholics, but many writers recounted their experiences in print. Thomas Coryat, Finis Morrison, and William Lithgow were early examples of the literary mode of travel writing. Most writers were men with no published accounts by women. The encounter with Native Americans sparked philosophical and ethical debates, with some arguing that travel exposed young men to moral dissolution, foreign affectation, and Catholicism. This influenced imaginative literature, with Thomas More creating satirical travel accounts and Joseph Hall criticizing travel. Travel writing in the 18th century gained popularity and prestige, influencing literary forms like poetry and novels. The genre was driven by the increasing mobility of Europe, the development of technologies and infrastructures for travel, and the expansion of print culture. Travel was seen as a crucial part of the new science of the late 17th century, with the Royal Society promoting travel and the empiricist philosophy of John Locke. William Dampier's New Voyage Round the World established a new standard for exploratory travel writing. The new sciences inductive agenda was further fueled by Linnaeus' Systema Naturae, which catalogued the natural world. European and American travelers such as Captain James Cook embarked on scientific exploration often financed by state-sponsored organizations. The 18th century saw the emergence of the tourist, a new type of traveler who was initially seen as a mark of conspicuous privilege. The grand tour, an extended visit to Europe, was the only form of tourism widely practiced at the time. The ethos of the grand tour was to acquire foreign languages, gather useful information, and visit Roman antiquity. However, the growing appetite for tourism led to diversification of touristic taste, interest, and itineraries. Many tourists ventured into print, making the late 18th and early 19th century a tour writing and tour publishing age. Women also had opportunities to travel and publish travelogues, with some published between 1763 and 1800. The writers of touristic travelogues began to focus on the personality of the traveler, expressing their inner thoughts and feelings. The rise of touristic travel and travel writing in the early 19th century was marked by a shift towards commercial and consumerist society. As more people began to travel recreationally, the industry became an industry. Guide books for tourists began to emerge in the 1830s, and Thomas Cook introduced the concept of package holidays in the 1840s in his essay concerning human understanding in 1690. As tourism developed, many tourists sought new styles of travel and alternative destinations to demonstrate their moral superiority and discrimination in taste. However, there was also non-touristic travel accounts such as those by castaways, shipwreck victims, and captives held hostage by hostile tribes. The evangelical revival led to the establishment of missionary societies and the abolition of slavery. This period also saw the emergence of a distinctively American tradition of travel writing, with accounts by explorers, settlers, naturalists, and missionaries playing an important role in forming a sense of nationhood. The Victorian and Edwardian periods 1837 to 1914 in the 19th century European and US empires expanded, leading to a surge in travel-related writings. These writings, ranging from memoirs to newspaper reports, facilitated European and US expansion. The emergence of race-based science in academia fueled a sense of superiority among Europeans and white Americans. During the Victorian era, travel writing was a significant form of exploration narrative, providing valuable geographical, natural, historical, and ethnographic information about various regions of the world. Explorers were regarded as emblematic figures of imperial masculinity, embodying the highest ideals of science and pristine civilization. Their travel experiences were often rendered in a stirring style, drawing heavily on literary techniques and idioms developed in imperial adventure stories. These genres functioned as an energizing myth of English imperialism, legitimizing the imperial project to domestic audiences while inspiring readers with fantasies of heroic exploits. Travel writing also proliferated as tourism flourished, and many travelers wrote accounts of their experiences. Many sought to get off the beaten track and escape the stifling moral codes of the Victorian era. The modern travel book emerged as writers with established reputations taking up the travelogue form. Women writers also made a significant contribution to the travel writing genre, navigating the constraints of femininity. Travel themes were frequently used in imaginative and fictive genres, challenging European imperial assumptions. Fiction, poetry, and travel accounts influenced subsequent travel accounts, shaping attitudes towards foreign peoples and places. Examples include Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, Herman Melville's Type, R.L. Stevenson's South Sea Tales, and Rudyard Kipling's Kim. The Victorian and Edwardian periods 1837 to 1914 in the 19th century European and US empires expanded, leading to a surge of related writings. These writings, ranging from memoirs to newspaper reports, facilitated European and US expansion. The emergence of a race-based science in academia fueled a sense of superiority among European and white Americans. During the Victorian era, travel writing was a significant form of exploration narrative, providing valuable geographical, historical, The European and American railway networks from the mid 19th century introduced a new mode of transportation, introducing speed and disorientation to travelers. This shifted the Western sense of space and time, generating a modern industrialized mode of consciousness. The motor car and aeroplane further challenged the tyranny of distance, making travel a mass activity available to almost all members of Western society. This led to a dramatic increase in global interconnectedness, with the modern age of globalization originating from the late 19th and early 20th century era of high imperialism. Modernism, a major cultural movement in the West, was influenced by this globalized society. Travel writing flourished between the First and Second World Wars with acclaimed travelogues and works exploring subjectivity, memory, and the unconscious. The British tradition of literary travel was continued by writers like Eric Newby, Norman Lewis, Colin Theobald, Jan Morris, Patrick Leigh Fermor, and Devlin Murphy in the post-war era. Their travelogues often adapted a variety of interest and tone markers, with Lewis's writing often journalistic in style. However, there was a self-deprecating persona and strategy of understatement prevalent in British travel writing. Jack Kerouac pioneered a different idiom in America, establishing a picturesque, low-life agenda and fast-paced hipster style. The narrative of scientific exploration gradually fell into abeyance, with professional scientists and social scientists taking on exploratory work. This led to the term travel writing being relegated to a minor genre, with critical and commercial fortunes flagging in the decades after World War II. The spread of the internet has also produced a new mode of travel writing, the travel blog, which represents a subtle recognition of the negotiation of the boundary between public and private communication. And here ends a summary. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.